type of guy that can play as well as Kobe Brissett, so we can agree to disagree on this one.
That's fine.
I like the Colts in this game, 30-23.
All right, let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals against the Miami Dolphins. A lot of people went into the season thinking the Dolphins would have the number one pick in the draft. Not quite the case. It looks like the Bengals are pretty much a lock to get it. I actually like the Miami Dolphins to win this game against Cincinnati at home at what I call Joe Robbie Stadium. I don't care what names you have out there. It's Joe Robbie Stadium to me. And I actually see the Dolphins winning this one 27-7.
I agree also, but I think the score will be 27-20. Joe Burrow is going to the Bengals. He's all over it. He's an Ohio boy. His father used to coach at Ohio. So it's going to be great to get some interest in the Bengals, but I feel bad because, the Bengals got a long way to go because their organization is cheap and their players know it, and it's tough for them to build a good ball club. But every once in a while, they get good quarterbacks in there, and they're able to surprise people and be competitive. But the culture of the Bengals needs to change.
Big time. Okay, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers going to the Big Apple to take on the New York Jets.
All right, I'm going to take the Steelers in this game, only because they're staying alive in the playoffs, but I think it's going to be tough. I like the Steelers in this game 20-17.
Yeah, I actually had 21-17. I had same thought process, Bill, on that one. We got the New Orleans Saints visiting the Tennessee Titans. The Saints are going to be playing outdoors. Who knows how cold it'll be in Nashville. We'll be in Nashville, actually, Friday night and leaving Saturday morning before we track on over to Atlanta, which is only a 5-hour drive. So, who do you have?
I'm going to take the Saints in this game. They're going to close it out. I think it's huge for them right now. Drew Brees played lights out the other night against the Rams. Now they got to go out and play with the Titans. So I think that they'll win, but I think it'll be a close game. So I like them 34-26.
I actually like the Saints in this one too, but 24-20. All right, let's go on to the New York Giants and the Washington Redskins in the Unemployment Bowl. Will Pat Shurmur be the coach? We already know that Bill Callahan is the interim, and the Washington Redskins are an absolute mess.
Well, the Giants, I think they're going to win the game. They usually play pretty good at RFK. That's where they're playing, correct?
Well, not RFK, but in the Washington.
Are they playing in New York? Or are they playing
they're at FedEx Field, I believe, out in Landover, Maryland.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, I should put RFK Stadium in there for a tag so that we can have some fun with that.
I like the Giants in this game. I think it's going to be close, 21-20.
Yeah, I like the Giants too, and I'm happy that Eli Manning is playing better. Will he be a Giant after this year is anybody's guess, but Eli Manning has proven that he's got a little bit more in the tank. I actually have the Giants.
I'm going to make a prediction.
What's that?
That the guy from Ohio State, the coach, Urban Meyer,
yeah,
is going to be the head coach of the Redskins.
You know what? I saw him visiting the Redskins, and so that would probably be one that would not surprise me after seeing it, but hearing it from you, I'll probably believe a little bit more. But I tell you what,
I'm really Haskins at Ohio State.
Yeah, I know. I kind of waited for that one.
That's what we talked about earlier in the show. A new breed. These coaches are going to follow their quarterbacks. Well, their future is Haskins.
But
they're going to bring in a coach to coach them in high school. In college.
But
right? I tell you right now, Haskins is playing street ball, and he's got a lot of talent. The clips that I see of him the other day, he's getting ready to get sacked. Instead of just going down and taking the sack, he tries to lateral the ball.
Yeah, but my question...
I've been in enough films to sit back and go, don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that again. This is the pros. This isn't... So he's learning because this is what happens with rookie quarterbacks. They want to win the game on their own because they're so used to dominating. That's the problem with Jameis Winston. Dude, these are pros. All right? You cannot do this. You're not going to win the game on your own. It's a learning curve that they have to learn. And maybe Jameis is learning it because in the last 3 games he's playing lights out. Tannehill's learned it. Now Haskins has to learn it. Baker Mayfield has to learn it. It's a maturation process. This kid has a lot of ability. but I'm seeing him ad lib back there because he looks like he's running for his life back there sometimes, and you love it. But at the same time, you go, just take the sack. That's really hard to do when you're a competitive winner like that. So maybe Urban Meyer can harness this young man and reach his potential, but that's probably why they're going to bring him in. That's what my gut instinct says.
All right, well, so my question to you about Urban Meyer, will he work 15 to 18 hours a day coaching an NFL team, knowing that a lot of coaches from the college don't like to do it, work more than 8-9 hours a day? That's the only question. I think that
sure
Urban, well, I don't know.
Sure, he's an egomaniac.
Okay, well, I'll take their word for it. But I am happy that Eli Manning is having some production and proves that he's got something in the tank. Is he auditioning for a job for another team, or will he stay on with the Giants? We'll find out during the offseason. All right, so
Eli's won Super Bowls. He's got doesn't have a good team around him. Okay, he takes the heat, and he's been a class act by keeping his mouth shut.
Oh yeah.
All right, all year you put him in there, and he wins some games. You give him a good offensive line, a good running game, and a good defense. He can win you some games. But I think they're making the transition. All right, and it'd be great to keep him as a backup to groom this new guy that they got in here, who is out right now. Ben's not ready to go either.
Right.
So like I said, you got to have two quarterbacks, and I think that unless if he decides to retire, they're kind of pushing him out the door. But Eli's the type of guy that may stay around and be there when he needs it because he's good coming off the bench.
Well, Eli, I believe
sort of
that Eli Manning will play in this league next year, whether it's with the Giants or somebody else. I believe that. So we'll see how it plays out, Bill. I mean, Eli Manning's showing you something the last couple of weeks. He's got some good football left in him. He has.
He just can't throw the long ball like he used to.
No, but you know what?
But there's he makes up for good experience. So like I'm a big Eli Manning fan. I watched him win Super Bowls. He's not fancy, but he gets the job done. He manages the game well. But it's tough when you don't have great protection. Brady's the same way. Look at Brady; they're all over him. He didn't make the Pro Bowl this year, but he's got a good team around him and playing great defense. But they're not calling the dogs on him like they are with Eli. And plus, he doesn't play in New York. New York will light you up if you don't win. All right, so Eli knows how to handle it the right way, and I expect him to be back next year if he decides not to retire. I still think he's got some years left in him, and they need to keep him.
All right.
So
All right, let's move on to the next game. The Oakland Raiders are playing in a town that they once called home in L.A. with the Chargers over the weekend. They lost their last game ever at the Oakland Coliseum to the Jacksonville Jaguars. How do the Raiders fare in Los Angeles as the Chargers' time in that soccer stadium begins to die down and they get ready for their new gig next year?
I think I'm going to take the Chargers in this game. It's usually one upset. I think the Raiders are kind of starting to realize that maybe the quarterback they have is not as good as they thought he'd be. And the Chargers are due for a win. And, I think this is the battle of California, and I think the Chargers are going to win this game 20-17.
Yeah, battle for California for now. I like the Chargers 26-21. All right, you got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, a game which the winner of this game that is going to the playoffs. The loser of this game is headed home.
Well, Dak Prescott got dinged up a little bit in practice this week. And the quarterback for the Eagles has won a couple of games on his own. I like to, the guy that caught the pass, Greg Ward, was on the developmental roster. And they won the game. And that just goes to show you that some guys, all they need to do is get an opportunity to play. That happened with the Buccaneers, too. They had a couple of receivers that were on developmental rosters that got activated. Did a pretty decent job of replacing Evans and Godwin when they got hurt. So, like I said before, you have the haves and have-nots, but that doesn't mean that some of these guys can't play. They're not, as long as they're given an opportunity. This is a really tough call, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys in this game. I think the Cowboys are going to win 23-20. I just think that, they're going to go in there and they're starting to get a roll. I like when, I think they know what they got to do to win, and they're going to go in and get the win for Jerry and close out the division.
Yeah, I like the Cowboys like 27-20. The only reason why I'm picking them is they have way too many playmakers. The Eagles are simply banged up. So.
Yeah,
There. All right, we'll go to the Pacific Northwest, where the Arizona Cardinals will be taking on the Seattle Seahawks up in Washington
We'll
State.
take the Seahawks in this game, 27-10.
I actually have the Seahawks winning 35 to 28. They'll score a lot of points, and I'm actually impressed with Murray. I am, and the offense that the Cardinals have, but the Seahawks are way too much. Two more games to get to, Bill. We got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Chicago Bears.
We take Kansas City in this game. They got too much offense, and Chicago can't, score enough. Even though they got a great defense, Kansas City wins the game 37-20.
Oh, I'm actually going to go with the Bears in this one, 27 to 20. I know what it's like to be at Soldier Field. I covered many games there. Being on Lake Michigan, if it gets cold, it gets cold. A lot of crazy things can happen at that stadium. So I'll give the Bears. It's okay to differ on this one. We'll see whether Suggs makes an impact.
Can play in any weather.
Well, that's all right. Well, we'll see how he fares in Chicago. I believe that's his first trip to Soldier Field. Soldier Field is an adventure, whether you're a writer standing on the sidelines at the end of the game or whether you're watching it up there. But, it'll be an interesting matchup there for sure. Yeah, Matt Nagy facing his old team, too, by the way. A little sidebar.
Uh-huh.
So, all right, and finally, the Monday night game, the Green Bay Packers taking on the Minnesota Vikings indoors.
I'm going to take Minnesota in this game.
Okay.
I think Minnesota needs to win in a big-time ball game. I think this game has it on there, and I think they're going to win 31-20.
I'm going with Green Bay, 27-24. And the reason why I'm going with Green Bay is even though Rodgers may not have the best numbers, and he's been a nightmare for me in our family fantasy football league, the fact of the matter is the Packers have a balanced attack. They're going to beat the Lions at Ford Field next week on my birthday, December 29th, Bill. But I'll tell you, if the Green Bay Packers get home field advantage throughout the playoffs at Lambeau, it could be dangerous sledding for anybody that goes in to Green Bay during the month of January.
Scotty?
Yes.
Most people agree with what you're saying. In fact, Aaron Rodgers made the Pro Bowl, and a lot of people are screaming bloody murder. How can he do that when guys like Dak Prescott have a lot better statistics? I think the Green Bay Packers are kind of holding on Aaron Rodgers back, and they're going to start throwing the ball around the yard a little bit more in the playoffs because of the way they've been playing this year, and trying to run the football a little bit. One of the things that I will tell you is Dalvin Cook is injured a little bit. I think they're running back for the Vikings. I don't even know if he's a go. I just think this is the time for the Vikings to make a statement game. They've got to win a game like this. All right, and I just think they're going to go out and do it. And, so that's just my gut instinct. There's usually an upset or two during the week, so that's one of my upsets this week. I think the Vikings are going to get them at home.
Well, guess what, Bill? We'll have a chance to talk about it next week, won't we, buddy?
You bet.
So, all right. Well, meanwhile, folks, that wraps up this edition of Motormouth and Wild Bill Winters. Hope you enjoyed the show. I always do with you, Bill, and I'm glad that we had a chance to spend time talking about sleep apnea. That subject will definitely not go away with us because we have a vested interest in it. The social media stuff's all well and good. We get to that from time to time. But we're going to mix things up in a lot of different ways, from sleep apnea, whatever else, and we want to make sure that we don't ignore any important subject that needs the proper attention. But meanwhile, Bill, great job tonight, and we'll get ready to prepare for our next program. Anything else you want to say?
Just good night, everybody. Sleep well.
Yeah, right. Okay. Does that mean both of us? Who knows? But anyways, have a great weekend, everybody, and Bill and I will be back next week for another edition of Wild Bill Winters and Motormouth. Good night, everybody.